pet peeves. I don't know about anyone else here. If you go to energy conferences, everyone always ends on this, what's the takeaway? It's, we need to collaborate. And then you go to the same conference the next year and they say, we need to collaborate. And you go, okay, who did you work with? We didn't speak to anyone. So it's nice to hear that sort of cross-sector, business collaboration. And from that academic point that you were on there, Sandra, to Gail, you've worked closely with operators in the past. So when it comes to navigating workflows and making sure that you deliver your deliverables, what's broken in the system and what's working? What needs to be learned?
When it comes to the deliverables, it's really what Camilla was saying about the legacy systems, people are trying to interconnect systems, trying to join them all up. There's a lot of systems. The software life cycle is actually getting shorter and shorter because of all the innovation, the way it's moving and everything. So that attitude of let's bring something else in, plug it in and join it all up and just make it work because that's what we're used to doing is not really going to take you to the next level. It's not embracing things like artificial intelligence and the new technologies. It's not going to work if you just want to keep flogging the old software and the old systems in the companies. So that sort of change of realizing you need to make an investment. If digitalization, artificial intelligence is going to make a difference, improve businesses and companies, you have to make that mindset change, just like Camilla's talking about, of investing in that and looking at everything and turning it up on its head. And it's embrace everyone in the company embracing that is a struggle that we find when we go into companies and introduce software. You can't have an attitude of here's a project I need, go away, build me some software, bring it back, we'll get the users using it. You do need to have that engagement at all levels of the business to get on board with it. Just like what we're seeing here with Camilla and Jason, just totally passionate about making that change and everyone investing in it, not just get it built, bring it back, put it in place. So yeah.
So now we've asked the question of everyone. I feel like everyone in the room's now caught up with what Tidebreaker is. Just in case you only read the free drinks part on the invitation, we now all know what's going on. So I've not seen any hands shoot up yet, so I'm going to do it. Oh, there's already a hand. That's perfect.
I've got a big voice. How does the commercial model work? Yeah, so you've got the data.
I'm Duncan from Deep Mine, Sanjay You've got data. We're trying to solve some problems. So how does the commercial model work in terms of my revenue, my IP, with you introducing us to Packer, for example, as a partner?
Yeah.
How does that model work?
Good question. And let's get that out of the way as well. So we have the commercial agreement, we have the data, we have the infrastructure, so you will connect to Elementz as a plugin through that as well. The go-to-market and what the value of what you develop is, depending on what it is, will be a discussion, to make sense as well. It can either be profit sharing, yeah. It can either be so wide for the use that we come to some other agreement where we say, right, we're going to do something different. You might prefer for it to be white labeled into Elementz as well, but that'll be part of the ongoing discussions, but you have that path to validation, but you will connect to Elementz. That doesn't mean that that can't plug into other pieces of software as well. So this isn't about, and let's deal with the IP as well. If you develop software with that data, the IP is yours. Camilla's data and the operator's data is their data. You develop something, the IP is yours, won't be Elementz as well. We're hoping that because we've got the depth of customers, we've de-risked it for the operators, that you can do that, but you will be free to walk away from that agreement and say, we're developing something else as well. You might find yourself back in that validation maze, that opaque maze of trying to cut a deal with cybersecurity and procurement and stuff like that as well. But that's the risk we're willing to take. So I hope that answers. The IP is yours, yeah. and we'll find a path that suits both of us. Commercialise, it can be profit sharing, we can white label, other discussions as well, but we'll deal with that up front, yeah. So there'll be legal agreements, participation agreements, data sharing agreements, etc., that we can discuss. We've got a couple of months to do that, and then we hope to onboard the first participants in January as well, yeah. Does that make sense, yeah? Yeah.
Good. Oh well, that's the brave first person, Duncan. Thank you very much for putting the hand up.
With a really good hard question. Thanks for that right at the start. Yeah.
Get to the nub of it.
Yeah, get straight to it. But there's in seriousness, there's no point skirting around this. We're serious, we go for it. That's the way we'll play it. Yeah.
You know, to continue the sort of quite blunt, straightforward questions, at the end of the day...
good. Yeah.
Stand up.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, what we're describing here is an AI accelerator program. And I don't think there'll be someone in here that hasn't heard of some form of AI accelerator program out there already that they could have applied to or maybe have applied to in the past. So, Jason, this is definitely a question for yourself. What makes Tidebreaker different? Why should people go to you rather than go to another similar program?
I think Gail and Camilla have set it up really, really well. So there's a traditional approach to software in general and AI, which is build it, demonstrate it, and deploy it as well. So Tidebreaker was kind of flipped on its head. So, you know, there's a really simple truth. These guys, the operators, want you to succeed, and value's kind of co-created as well. So we've kind of flipped that. So with that build, demonstrate, deploy, there's gaps appear, there's trust gaps, there's data gaps appear. Great question for me to lead into. There's commercialization, you know, that validation and that route to actually get it deployed becomes really difficult. So with Tidebreaker, you kind of flip it on your head. So you've got that participate with the operators as co-creators. They're validating from day one. So it's not about polished demos. So go away, as you just said, go away, build something, and then we'll have a look at it. That gives you a huge amount of problems on onboarding. And then from day one, you're building to integrate. So back to, you know, if you're building to integrate to an existing system, you're going to succeed. You're not trying to, we hear that word as well as collaboration, disruption. Why are you trying to disrupt workflows? Yeah, there's workflows in place because there's pressures, there's safety risks, etc. You want to come in, you want to integrate, and you want to optimize those workflows. You don't want to disrupt them and have, you know, engineers thinking differently about how they're going to go about their day-to-day. That's where it'll crash. So you're going to get your data, you're going to get supported as you try and validate, and you're going to get a route to market. So, and critically, that last one, I think that's where Tidebreaker is completely different from other AI accelerators. Yeah.
We've touched on that sort of collaboration piece, that sort of joined up thinking with operators. And Camilla, I guess for the people in the room that are maybe going, oh, I'd quite like to get on board with this, what are the sorts of problems that operators are not solving right now that they need addressed?
Yeah, so Tidebreaker's got several themes that we have jointly agreed to work on, and I think what I really like about the program is that we are solving real problems, right? We are solving real problems. So we're not trying to develop something and then apply it to trying to find a problem to apply it to, but we start with a problem we need to solve, and then we develop something to solve it. So I think that's really important, right? And I also want to say, we use, when we gather data, a lot of what we talk about is data actually, right? When we gather data, we use expensive vessels and we use drones to gather the data. And then I mentioned we have siloed data, we have unstructured data, and we have a lot of data cleaning up to do. But it is very expensive, right? All the data gathering we're doing, it's expensive. So one of the examples of a key challenge that we are going to solve, right, Jason?
Yes.
Is
that's you being held to account there. That's what that is.
Is one that I've been waiting 25 years to solve, right? Is the real-time integration of and analysis of subsea data during inspection. We collect a lot of data, but we do not know whether we have a problem or not while collecting the data. And I said, almost 25 years I've been waiting for this. So I think we're on something here. So, and this is really important. You know, the industry has some key challenges that we need to solve in order to make our operations a lot more efficient. And that's one of them. And but we are still relying a lot on, you know, some manual work and old legacy systems for monitoring. We also have some, I would say, work processes that need to be improved that we're going to look at as well. You know, how can we use automation to make our work processes more efficient? You know, there's a lot of different things, but there will be some big challenges in this program that that we are going to solve together.
You know, just you touched on something there that I found quite interesting, and maybe this is from an outside looking in kind of perspective, as the journalist often brings to the room. What you said there about that idea of developing a product and then trying to find a problem for it to apply to, that feels very cart before the horse. And I don't know if Gail or Sandra, you're best placed to answer that. Is that something that's common within tech innovation?
I'd say it's not to be advised.
Yeah, it's not a good way to go.
But
I think most innovators are, you know your market, or you know there's a market for what you're developing, or there's the idea the seed of the idea comes from something that's already needed. It's a bit like with Elementz, you know, you're building a system off of working with companies that have a requirement, and then you build on that. But there will be obviously instances where people come out and go, I've got an idea, I'm going to make it happen. But that doesn't usually succeed.
no.
Yeah.
And it's like using tech for tech's sake, and just to prove that you can do it, but not thinking about what is the problem that you're trying to solve. What's the right tool to use to solve the problem that I want to solve? So one of the great things about the Tidebreaker initiative really is that the problem is defined. So you know there's a market to solve that problem. And what's more is it's defined by more than one operator. So it's scalable. And I think that's...
And also, maybe I can add, you know, when we talk about technology, or we're going to develop technology, I think it's important to remember we are going to deploy it, right? We are going to use it. So what we need to do, you know, in parallel is to prepare for that. And I think that's one of the key benefits of working so close together, is that we are going to be ready to deploy. So it's not like we're handing over something and then we will try to figure out how to use it. So I think that the speed is quite important here as well.
I feel like if you say no to this, then we might as well all pack up and go home now. But Camilla, do you see, you know, Tidebreaker, can you visualize Tidebreaker driving that operational shift, that shift of mindset in the application of these technologies that we're describing?
Yeah, so I do see Tidebreaker like a catalyst, you know, for developing and applying AI-driven solutions in the field. You know, we are working on this ourselves in many areas, but I think in subsea integrity management, you know, we have a huge opportunity as an industry to move faster. That's why we're doing this and collaborating between our operators as well. And I think we have, as I mentioned, there's a few really big challenges that we have. And I think that is what's going to make a big difference to all of us and driving this operational shift. And it's a really good setup as well for how, it's a structured setup, you know, for how we're going to, you know, create the next wave of problems as well to solve, right? So we're just starting off now, right? And we have a set of themes we're going to work on, but there will be more coming, right? Because we're not done. So I think when we're going to get this to work, I'm thinking about like a machine at the end. You know, this will, the setup that will work. I think we'll get even more done because we will continue to. We have lots of things to work on, And hopefully as well, it will be very interesting to participate in this, from the tech companies as well. I think we can all learn from each other, and I think we will build a set of competencies here that I think be very valuable for all of us.
So Camilla, at the start of that answer, you mentioned the sort of various sort of areas that Tidebreaker are looking at. Jason, can you give some examples of the types of challenges that Tidebreaker is looking to address?
Yeah. I'll try and do this justice as well, but if you go on the website, you'll see the themes as they expand as well. And Sandra reminded me of something just when we were chatting. So this might be the energy majors doing this for Subsea, but if you're doing anything with integrity or inspection Subsea, whether you be emerging energy, whether you be power, telecoms, aquaculture. So if something's going down and it's been inspected and you're looking for issues, then these are transferable as well. So that's quite exciting for us as we start pushing into different markets. There's a lot of interesting elements for that. So that's really interesting. So you don't have to be a startup focused on oil and gas. There'll be some cool tech out there that's transferable as well. So the Compass guys spent a lot of time doing challenges. We had the discussion whether themes or challenges were better. If you think of the integrity cycle from strategy all the way to planning, execution, reporting, they all started to be interlinked. So these 5 themes are kind of interlinked. The big one, you guys kind of hinted that as well. So the first one's kind of autonomous eyes. So that's machine learning or vision learning on decades of historical data. So every single customer, whether it be Aker BP or somebody else, has decades of video and media and historical data, and it's sitting there, and it can be used for learning. And the reason it needs to be used for learning is if we can get the right model and the right learning in place, AUVs, autonomous vehicles are coming, and it's coming for the future. So if we're going to send these out and they're going to have a look, how are they going to come back and say, I found something? We're going to go back to the 80s, and I remember the 80s, that shows you how old I am, where you used to look at videotape for your inspections and say, here's an anomaly, here we have a problem. So this is a huge problem, but it's there. Yep. So Subsea, there's marine growth, it's complex infrastructure, it's difficult to see. If you solve this, you're solving a problem that's worth millions. So this was coming out as a really strong theme. They have all the data, they have all the experts in place, so that's a big one. Predictive, yep. So we're talking about predictive integrity. So actually using, again, inspection data, using the models in place, and actually focusing where they should be doing their inspections, how components are degrading, etc. So that's a pretty simple one. And what came out from that was risk. Yep. So you just described really well the cost of actually going out and inspecting stuff. And if you're an engineer, which you are, I'm a failed engineer, you're still doing it. Yep. Is you will go, if you have any doubt, you will go and inspect it. Yeah, you will put a boat out there, you will put an ROV down. So if you don't understand cumulative risk, you will go and do it, even if you don't need to do it as well. Imagine being in a position to say, we're not doing that, we're safe, and we know we're safe because we understand cumulative risk. So that becomes huge. Engineers, so digital engineers spend most of the time, or subsea engineers, looking for information, checking that the information is correct, and then passing that information on to somebody as well. It's a huge amount of their day, yeah, in disparate systems and trying to find it. If you start to automate that and check it, build work packs, even when you find something, sentencing that for Subsea all becomes huge, and that day becomes better, for the experts to do what they're doing. And last but not least is probably the hardest one, learning system. So everything that you're touching, whether it be an inspection, whether it be a decision, whether it be media, feeding back as well. So every time you're doing something with inspection and integrity, the system's learning and it's improving, is the 5 big themes as well. So you'll find more on the website on those, but we're also open to wildcards because we don't know everything. I pivot, good word. I pivot my ideas on that. So somebody somewhere will come in with a wildcard, so just pitch it, yeah, as well.
No, stay. Oh, we've got a question right here.
Hi, excuse me, Richard McGowan from Fallon Group. Just want to pick up on a couple of points. Jason, you mentioned that it is really important for startups and innovators to fit in with the company's processes and procedures.
Yep.
You can't can't just tear up what they're doing and assume you know how to do it better. But there's also that side that if Camilla, you want something that is, a step change that you've been doing for 35 years for, there will be a change in those processes. In order to get to the level where you have automated analysis will mean a change that doesn't involve an engineer anymore. And that's a complete change in the rule books of the engineering process. And not completely, but there will be big changes. So, the final point to sum it up was that we mentioned about building the solution before knowing the problem. So how can we as innovators get closer to your processes, understand your workflow, where you're willing to bend, move, and change, where you're not, so that we can actually build a solution that fits your future goals? Because that's our challenge, getting close to those engineers who make those decisions and asking, if we built this system, would it fit with how you want to work? And as innovators, it's often a challenge that you build something you think they will want, but there are so many blockers in the way. Someone doesn't want to change the way they do things. Somebody is the gatekeeper on that, and they will not allow it to happen. So is Tiebreaker going to kind of give us access to those subject matter experts at WP, and how do we resolve those problems? Because it's all good to say about what we should do, but there are many barriers in achieving it.
Do you want to answer that? Because the answer is yes.
Oh, well, there we go.
No, but it's a great question as well. I'll take it from the product side as well. What we learned, and it's taken us a long time to learn this as well, is never to assume what the users are wanting as well. And we're lucky, we have 20 plus customers and really close, customers who are helping us through it as well. The biggest struggle over the last couple of years was standardization. So even getting different regions to standardize in the same process, most operators are now there, but you will have access to the subject matter experts. And I think it's a great way to say where they will bend and where they will not, on that as well. And then writing that into the workflows. So standardization, you've got access to the guys, and then into those workflows as well, sitting alongside. And I think it's important for the startups to sit alongside the existing workflows, because you will then see your value. So you will take 6 hours of searching for data to 30 seconds. You'll have that, and that's your go-to-market as well. So you're going to be able to validate that it's working, but you're also going to hunt that value from day one. So you're going to get access. And my advice to anybody is hunt the value the minute you've got people using your product. Because that's what's going to hit. A fancy sales deck isn't actually proof that you've cut 6 hours to 30 seconds is.
Did that answer your question?
To some extent, but I think it's also recognising that there will be big changes needed if you want to achieve that goal. So I'd like to hear what Camilla's thoughts are on that.
Yeah, so I think, and you're right, I think you have some very good points, and I recognise the fact that some people don't want to change, and we all work differently. The operators work differently as well, and within the company as well, we have different ways of working. However, we do see a big shift in, the understanding of the fact that we need to look at our work processes and how we work. So with the focus on the data and automation as well of a lot of the steps in our workflows now, the benefit for the engineers, because that's very important, right, to articulate that, is it will be, like I tend to think about, how do you want to use your engineers? Well, it's for engineering, right? Not chasing data or quality checking data, or, you want to use them for why you hired them, right? And I think we're moving into that direction. We have a lot of very interesting engineering challenges for them, and that's how we want to use our engineers, not chasing data. So I think we're getting our, staff being part of that journey, really. And then we need to standardize how do we work. If we don't, we're not going to be able to automate some of our processes. So I think we're really onto that. But I see where you're coming from, and I agree. It's been a challenge.
I do. because this isn't a silver bullet. You're going to come up against the awkward engineer. You're going to come up against the block. We've got to rely on the board members of Compass to break, almost the tiebreaker again, to use that. It's not going to be a walk in the park, but we should be hyper aware of it as well. Yeah.
Thanks very much.
And isn't part of what you're going to do through Tidebreaker also to sort of guide and mentor some of these people who apply?
Yeah.
So that's part of the value add. Sorry.
Feel free to keep going, Robert.
So just to summarize, you've got a go-to-market strategy, you've got all the requirements for the companies and AI startups to do, you've got timelines. That's one thing that you didn't cover. You always have validation, you provide a resource of the people who could test the solution, make sure that it's all correct. So all that's covered. But what is the timeline?
Good question.
Yeah.
No, let me see if I can remember this. So, it will be a year. Well done, thank you. I don't know if you heard this in as well. So applications are open now, yeah. So you can go onto the website, you need to fill in a few details. There's a submission pack as well. Read the themes. We'll post more details on the themes or get in contact with those as well. We'll go through the process of choosing the participants. The size of elements, we're hoping about 3 or 4 to do that as well, because we need to allocate you mentors, technical mentors and program mentors, and also, to get in contact with the SMEs. We'll do that all by December. We onboard you in January, and we run all the way through to the summer as well. So hoping 6 months is enough. If it's not, we'll extend it to the 9 months, and then we'll go into round 2. So this time next year, we should be in the same room, hopefully with presentations of here's what we did, and then we go to round 2 as well. So 6 to 9 month program, yeah. And it's all on the website, I think. It's somebody, I'm looking at the corner of my eye for somebody to start nodding, yeah, while I'm looking at you, but it's all there. So yeah, we're hoping that's enough time, yep.
I think there was another question further down the front row.
Yep.
Hi, Mark Morrison from Philbert. Just a couple of points. One would be, how do you see machine learning being accelerated? For example, if we were for about 10 years and trying to rapidly process pipeline data sets through rules and sets. 10 years on, they haven't really mastered it yet. They've got various workarounds. Is there going to be a step change to accelerate that?
I think, yeah, I've been messing around with it the same amount of time. There's Stephen's in here as well, who's on Compass board, who went, yeah, this is tough. We don't know. What we do know is if there's clever people to solve it, we can't solve it. It's as simple as that. We cannot solve this. Complex geometries, marine growth, difficult to find it, etc. We're hoping accessing all that different data is going to give it the best chance as well. But that's why it's number one. If you solve this, it's worth millions. But it's also the toughest one. Yeah, absolutely. So I have not a clue. It would have been solved. So I think there will be a spark come out of this. I'm pretty hopeful. But I can't see autonomous vehicles without having this in place, or we're back to doing old workflows. Yeah, yeah.
The second point is more about the structural side of things. I'm focused on kind of data entry, the teams doing data entry, and I kind of follow up and figure out what we've done the past few weeks and do reporting so that before we start it. How do you see, in terms of the APIs you're talking about, we've seen fast digital inspection and fast digital imaging. A few in the room have commented and some reports on that. Are you looking at integrating the actual hardware, like you've got cameras with machine vision learning, on-edge type technology? You're talking about how do we rapidly get to, we figured out we've got an anomaly. Are we quickly reporting that here? Typically we've seen it with our eyes, with on-edge visual inspection. We do have a requirement to report that rapidly, moving an accurate to our hours. How are you turning what we've seen into your immediate integrity kind of concerns and actionable data? You're kind of asking how quickly do I solve this problem from 25 years ago? I'm still trying to picture in my head like we do So yeah, how are we integrating the hardware and technology into Elements, for example?
I think it's another good question. We're only going to try and solve that bit, that we can focus on as well. And then one of the suggestions I've got is when we talk about leaning into Tiebreaker is it's not just going to be about these themes, it's going to be the likes of yourselves and experts and mentors and start to grow this as well. So this, when we're talking about Tiebreaker as for startups, that's what I can do and help. The bigger problems, we should get talking, yeah? And if you can mentor startups, or we've got another problem, or we think we can do it with the operators, because you're describing something, I can picture it and I just can't see the solution. We had a go, yeah. We're talking to, as you know, we're talking to every bit of tech that's out there. We're on the spread. We don't have the answers, and what we're trying to do is just manage that rather than be, on the edge, for example. We do fast digital inspection. We're linking with other stuff as well, but there's a better way to do it, yeah. So it's a completely terrible answer I've given you because I don't know the answer, yeah. But lean in is my, advice.
It's more of an observation. But do you really need real-time inspection of the edge? Because
do you really need it? Because yes, you may spot an anomaly at the edge, there and then. But the fact that I found a P1 on a pipeline, that's not a week and not.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it waits another week, 2 weeks before that data comes back to the beach. Yeah?
It could be,
So the real-time thing is, what do you call real-time? Because real-time is boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
That's too much. We have customers, so we want real-time. We'll give you real-time, and the data flow is so huge, we can't actually process that.
Yeah.
So actually, the real-time is 2 weekly, monthly processing of it, So I think the definition of the problem is what do you really need from that in terms of inspection? Because inspection has to be passed by an integrity engineer, has to go through certain steps before you even get to making an advice decision about it.
Yeah.
So I think it's really exciting to talk about real time, but what is real time really?
Correct.
Sorry, it's not stations.
No, and you can jump in here. I think it's a really good point. If you had it coming back in 12 or 24-hour periods, but it was doing the learning, so with trusted reasoning, so there's no point, back to this automation as well. If something's out there and it's found it, and then it's ready to, Aker BP, for example, have great comms, but if you don't, 12 or 24 hours might be okay, coming back as well. But the difficulty is if it was a leak or you found something, and you can answer this. But 12, 24 hours, certainly, if you're solving that problem that it's finding something, it's identifying it, and then with trusted reason, it's sentencing it. So the engineer's just doing a check. Yeah.
Your maintenance is run on a maintenance basis for the key ones, 2 weeks. Anything that's critical that you find, there and there, will be fixed by the on-board maintenance team. So it's just more of a critical thinking. Well, But I know it's only because we've experienced the concept of real time, people wanting real time, and actually what is the reality of shipping data, large quantities back from an offshore remote location to a beach to make that process, coming out that process decision making. Because that is a box. If you process at the edge with a phone, you can do that. But unless the integrity manager has signed off as part of the process, potentially, not saying that's what happens, that may not be occurred because can you make that decision on here? Did you get the drift? So
Yeah.
I think the real-time thing is a really interesting conversation because real-time is a subjective discussion. And I'm sorry, everybody, this is just a part of the data talk. I'm Sandra's looking at that. We've had so many conversations around real-time. From real-time to everybody's slightly different. I think that's a really interesting thing to
Yeah.
talk about.
It also, sorry, and we will stop, but it could also be between KP point and KP point. So you're not storing terabytes of data. If you find nothing between this KP point and that KP point, wipe your data and move on to the next. So that could be real time. So there's various ways to kind of cut it, yeah. No, it was good.
No problem.
But what we really want to avoid as well is the having to go back to try to figure out and to understand what's happened. Because we have large distances between our fields. So we have some centrally, southern North Sea, and then in the middle, and then in the north. So we really don't want to come to a situation where we don't really understand what we have, or what the concern is, and we have to go back. That is really not what we want. So it's trying to get more analysis done as we go. That's really what we want to try to achieve. We want to understand better what we're dealing with. Yes.
I think this will have to be our last question down here.
A lot of big discussion going on here. Just to pick up on a couple of things, I guess I'll start with Camilla and then Jason and Stuart. But when you talk about AI and machine learning and the reality of real-time inspection data, which, the pace of autonomous underwater vehicles and cameras and all that is bringing data in at a very rapid pace now. And that is moving very quickly. So I'm on board with getting real-time data. I've seen this stuff over 30 years, and I've seen the change. But how do we manage the governance of AI effectively and machine learning to make sure that the risks are fully managed and to make it a success and to measure that success? And let's see that process of governance through every step. It's really what I haven't heard anything about that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think you're picking up on something really important, but something that will come out as part of the process as well. So if you've got 6 energy majors who work in different ways as well, but guiding a process, then it starts to become standard, because you're right that there's no clear guidance on there as well. But I think it's trust the process, that if you're building something in a standard way across 6 diverse data sets, that is going to come out with the same results. Does that make sense? So tiebreaker won't solve that, I don't think, but it will certainly be a right step in the process towards a standardization. Yeah, they can be used as influence. Yeah, but I think if we went down that route too quick, we would stifle innovation. Yeah, if that makes sense. But hyper aware of that. Roundabout answer. Trust the process, but it's a difficult question. Yeah.
So I said it was one last question, but much like Columbo, I always have one last one to add to the end. So what happened? So we've spoken about tiebreaker, we've spoken about the challenges that it's trying to tackle, we've spoken about the engagement across operators and the data lab and bringing these technologies to the fore. But I guess the real question that sort of sums all this up is, what happens if we don't do this? What happens if we just stand still and tiebreaker doesn't actually produce anything? I'll start at this end, because I'm giving Jason a little bit of time to think.
Lots doesn't happen.
Lots doesn't happen. That's a fair point.
Yeah, you fail to solve the problems of operational efficiency. You fail to take advantage of technologies that are available to help you solve them. There's a real opportunity to leverage the expertise that exists here in Scotland in research institutions. And you have the operators here. That's such an opportunity cost of not doing it. There's also, sorry, I don't want to hug the mic, but like from a Scottish perspective, the fact that we have this opportunity to develop innovative solutions to global challenges is a real ecosystem opportunity. So
I'm glad you touched on the Scotland point, because I did want to touch on the northeast of Scotland. So I'm glad that did get brought up, but we did run out of time a little bit. Gail, I'll go with you next, if that's okay. What's the cost of not doing this?
Yeah, from our perspective as a small business, and I've spoken to many people in this room at many events like this and others, and we all are touching on bringing in artificial intelligence and new ways of doing things into our business. But as small businesses, we have our day jobs to do. We've got the products that we're trying to build, and having an opportunity to sort of come together. We do come together, we talk about this all the time, and we've had these conversations many times. And I think having an opportunity to bring all that together with the big companies as well, being involved and feeding down into that, and not just us like, right, let's work out how we're going to do this and who we're going to collaborate with companies across Aberdeen. Having that sort of different levels of injection into this. I've got people in my team who are absolutely brilliant. And I think if I can get that guy with this guy from your team and these people here, all looking at this and trying to learn this, we're going to build a skill set that we couldn't do on our own as a small business. So in a year's time, potentially, we've got skill sets of multiple businesses that can grow and be much more innovative and move forward and try this stuff out, because we're talking about things that might not work, we might not need them. We've got to try it. We can't just sit and say, well, do you know what, I haven't got time for it, let's do it and try it and give it a shot. And having Camilla involved and businesses like BP, that's an opportunity that's kind of hard to not see as a good opportunity. That's what I think.
Well, Camilla, I think you're probably the next best placed person to answer the cost of not doing this.
Yeah, so I talked a bit about how in our operating environment, the cost that we see, and it's quite clear to us, the increasing the operational effectiveness is important, to reduce the cost. That is one of our key drivers in all our improvement agenda. So that is clear. We are looking for, fantastic solutions that make us more efficient operationally. And also, I think one of you touched on the fact that, I guess it was yourself, Jason, that talked to that if you don't have to do an inspection, we want to be sure that we don't have to do it, right? So we only want to do inspections of things that we have to inspect. But at the moment, if we're not sure, we will inspect it. So, we are trying to use this tiebreaker to make an operational shift for us. Also see, I think if we don't succeed in this, I think it's a missed opportunity to attract talent, and I think you talked about that. It's to attract talent for us as well, right? We're the subsea industry I would say, is a fantastic and very interesting industry to work in, yeah. But we also need to be attractive for new talent, right? So I think what we're doing here is also very interesting for our engineers. And also I think it could be interesting for investment purposes as well. We have investors as well, right? We have shareholders. It's a tough world out there for us as well. So I think this is very good for business, I think, for all of us. And I really look forward to how we can make this first wave of themes be solved. Some of them are easier to solve. Some of them quite challenging, but I think I really believe in this setup, Jason, so look forward to that.
Yeah.
Well, Jason, I've been kind to you. I've asked everyone else first, so you've now got to give us the best answer of the night, really.
Make sure I don't go on a rant. As well. Yeah. I think, so from my point of view, I think it's about opportunity. It's so that if we don't do this is our North Sea, and other areas, other techs will move at scale. It's as simple as that. So it's about momentum, yep. If we lose it, so we've got one of the most mature, one of the most technically advanced, and we've got all the skills and talents here. And if we don't do it, somebody else will do it. So it's a bit simple, so we don't compete. Don't want to use the word collaborate, we co-create and we move in as well. So that's what we're trying to do. I'm quite passionate about it, as you know, as well, about moving stuff, for doing something for the region, for putting Scotland on the map, protecting the jobs and keeping the North Sea as well. So to me, it's a big step as well. So we do it, and we do it now. We start now. Yeah, simple as that.
Perfect. Well, we did slightly overrun, so I'll get straight on to the important information for the rest of the evening. Back through there, there'll be more networking, and then make sure you don't get rid of your name badges, because by 9 o'clock at OGV Tap Room, there's an after party as well. So for those of you that I did mention earlier that just read the free drinks, there's more down the road. And if you don't mind joining me in thanking the panelists in the usual way.
And a sincere thank you for turning up, and listening to me nearly rant at the end as well. So enjoy a drink. Thank you so much. Don't need to go through the website. You can contact any of us as well. But if you're signing up, go and check it out as well. But
It's a great
anytime
website.
to have a chat. Yeah.
Yep. It's a
Good
great
one.
website.
Did you like that? Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.